Easy. By the way, I might be really hyper. I can't help it. When there's, well, you've seen me now. You've seen me under performance. Yeah. I just don't know where it. Sometimes I can be. Fuck, I can't get out. Sometimes I can be so tired, but when I have a job, like, I just. That's how you get through it. Yeah.
Oh, but do you want me to quickly check?
No, it's
your
okay.
Position?
No. Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
I don't know. Okay, are we starting? Okay, cheers. We have our cacao drink.
Ceremonial grade cacao.
Boom.
Try.
Okay.
Let me see.
It's nice.
It's nice.
I like it.
Yeah.
And can you do it with milk as well?
Yeah.
Okay. But
No
we have
milk,
it with
though.
hot water. Is that fancier? No, healthier?
Healthier, definitely. More clean.
Okay.
Pure.
Cool.
Before we get started, we have a dog here.
Oh, yeah.
A screaming baby next door. A snoring dog here. Potentially screaming baby next door. So bear with us.
But we're all on a chilled vibes. Because at the weekend, I did my first ever MMA fight, which was so much fun, super amazing. And we just want to talk about the whole experience. Kristy is a pro MMA fighter.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you want to say a little bit about your background?
About my background.
Mhm.
Where do I start? I'm a pro MMA fighter. Yes.
Mhm.
Started in Muay Thai and then eventually switched over to MMA. Haven't fought for the last few years, but might be starting fight camp very soon. And other than that, I call myself a holistic healer because I've studied PT, rehabilitation, mindset, anything to do with holistic health, like health, wellness, healing, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, like the whole thing.
That's why I'm her friend. I was like, she's good at this. She's probably good at loads of other things. And she is really good at loads of other things. So yeah, that's why we want to do the link up and come to you regularly together, chat about all the different things we talk about, because we can literally talk for like 3 hours when we go.
We have like epic chats.
Yeah, so we need to bring them to you, and we're just at home. It's all casual, and yeah, the main thing we're talking about is the fight vlog. Well, not vlog, fight camp. I have a fight vlog coming out, and yeah, where do we start? 7 weeks. Fight camp.
You did 7? Or
yes,
7?
I did 7. Is that normal?
Yeah, I mean,
to do a fight camp for that long?
Yeah, it really depends. Like, I think it depends what promotion you are in, where you're at, how long they give you. If you know, like, I think I've known like 4 months in advance for a fight once.
Okay.
When I was fighting on one championship, like we had a really long time. I knew the dates, so it might have even been longer, and like at one point I even did like a Muay Thai fight in between because I knew like that far out. But yeah, like I think a 2 months is good.
Yeah,
I've been called up for 3 weeks notice. You know, it's just kind of
varies.
But I was talking to Jake, our epic strength and conditioning coach, and he said like 8 weeks is like really
bang on.
Yeah. Where you want it, like it's ideal. It's ideal.
Yeah. So, ideal. Well, Donnie came up to me. He is the boss of Bali MMA, right? Yeah, he owns Bali MMA. And I just knew, this is how it started. I train at Bali MMA this whole year, and secretly in my mind, I knew...
Dating a professional fighter as well.
Oh, dating a professional fighter, yeah.
So you've been in and out of like...
The life.
Training with us.
Yeah, I've been, like, you guys know me. I go full on. If I'm in a room, I want to be the best in the room, or that's what I'm at least striving for. That's what I enjoy, the challenge, all of that. So secretly, I had in my brain, I think I'm going to get a fight in before the end of the year, because I'm also one of these people that I don't want to be seen as a fake. Oh, she's just do it. Like, I want to be the real deal. So even if it's just once, I just plan to do this once, by the way, guys. These guys are too brave. It's a lot of stress. There's so much to it. My hats go off to them. Plus, well, a couple of things. Dating an MMA guy who I'm very serious with. It's so great to have known 1 minute.
Keep going.
It's so great to know what it's like for him, like what he has to go through. Because for me, dating someone who was taking a lot of naps in the day or like sleeping a lot, I was like, is this normal? Is this okay? Now I've done the fight camp in Bali heat and going that intense. Because I feel like this is something we can talk about. But you can do a fight camp and everyone's fight camp is going to be different. It's how you individually put the work in, how intense you are. And my boyfriend's intense, I'm intense. So I get the naps. But anyway, Donnie came to me and instantly my heart dropped.
You knew.
I knew. I think because people know it's coming and I just, everything sunk, the nerves hit. And actually, I was way more nervous, sick, anxious, scared, emotional at the beginning of camp. And then towards the end and the night of the fight, I was beaming, chilled, like having a great time. The music was on. At the event, I was cool. I was having a good time. We were dancing before I went up on the walkout. Even in the cage, I was calm. I just had to do what I did. And that's because with everything, if you put the work in, you're prepared. You can't beat like consistency and workload for confidence. Like that's what builds your confidence, right?
Yeah, I really do think like you can draw on all of that. Like, and I think I've said to you before, like I'm super nervous. Like I always deal with nerves. And my partner is my coach and an incredible coach. He cornered CORINNE.
He did, so, Ryan.
In the corner.
Shout
out to Ryan. But I remember saying to him once, like, I need to have a better mindset. I wish I was more like you, because he's got this almost. He's calm, he's confident, maybe a little delusional. I don't know.
You have to watch his fight as well. It will be up on YouTube.
Yes. Yeah, he fought that night as well, cornered, and then fought. Legend. But I said that to him one day, like, I wish I was just more like, the word was confident, but it was probably more like calm. And it's just like, yes. But I'm not like that. I am a nervous wreck. Like, maybe not the whole time, but like I deal with a lot of intense feelings and nerves and emotions. And he said, well, you know, like it works for you. So what's a right or a wrong mindset, you know? Whereas I was like hearing, judging, like, oh my God, all this intensity that I feel. And he's like, well, look at your, I mean, he's good now, but he was like, look at your record, you know, you've done so well. So just because you're like feeling all these nerves, it doesn't mean that that's wrong. Like that works for you. Yeah. You're better in there because of your fear.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think it holds you back. And actually when I've been doing jiu-jitsu this year as well, I am nervous. I think it's the pressure. It's you create those nerves and you can switch those nerves to be a bit more exciting. But I don't think for us, they affect our performance. But for this particular fight, it was just an experience. It's not like my career. There's no pressure for me to win. Like, even though I was putting my hands up every round, that's because I just loved the round and I got through it. It wasn't necessarily because I'm like, oh yeah, I won that. We just do it at training every day. We stand up and we go like this, right? Yeah. And I was just doing that. And even if they called at the end, she'd won, I probably would have been like, woo! And then congratulated her, because it's not something I need to do to get a belt. It was just an experience. But I think for any normal person who wants to do these things, it just like, what's the word? Not lightens. It like pushes you forward in life. You grow so much as a human, in your career. And I just think always challenging and doing more. And if you're in a space, why not take the opportunity?
Totally.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And like I've always said, my fight journey was like the biggest personal development course, spiritual awakening, like I could have ever done. Because when you're training, you'll attest to this, like you don't even push yourself to the limit sometimes. You get pushed to the edge at points. You face all those little demons. Will I maybe give up? Like, oh my God, can I do, you know, like you get pushed to those extremes and completely out of the comfort zone. And I think it, you know, maybe we're all a little too comfortable sometimes. So I think being able to like get out of the comfort zone and realize like, oh, I'm uncomfortable and I fucking made it through that. Like that resilience.
Yeah, that's a good word.
In the gym, in a fight camp, whatever.
In your relationship,
like that's, you can use that in every single moment. And so yeah, even if you're having a tough moment in the fight, you're like, hang on a minute, like I've just been sparring with all these beasts. I've been like, fitness level is high, like even if I'm struggling in this millisecond or whatever, like I know what I've done. I am resilient, you know?
Yeah. So how did you think I approached the fight camp?
That's a good question. Like from the very beginning, or like where do you...
Or if anything stands out. I remember like the last week towards the fight and I'm doing my thing and you're like, this is a great attitude to have. Like I felt like you were surprised about how I came into the last week. So the last week is our rest week.
Yeah, you're tapering off.
Tapering off. Yeah.
Because you've been going like so hard for so long and your energy is like, you know, you've been potentially like overtraining. And so, potentially, I shouldn't say potentially, probably overtraining. And so the last week, like you want to taper that down so that you're like kind of building your energy reserves. So then when you step into the ring or the cage or the ring, whatever, you have enough energy on board. The fatigue is like flushed out of your body. When I was studying, one of the guys I was studying with, Paul Check, he always said like, if an over-trained athlete and an under-trained athlete get into the ring, obviously if you don't get it like a knockout in the first round or something, the under-trained athlete will always win rather than the over-trained athlete, because they literally don't, you're burnt out. And I've definitely been there in fights before where I'm like, I'm exhausted in the first round, like what the hell, I should be super fit because I haven't had the right coaching or whatever, like, and not tapered properly. Yeah,
and we've seen that. Like even just this year, we've gone to a few fights, which was almost like, again, prepping myself, seeing how they run, because I'm brand new to this whole fight scene. I did not like watching fights. I'm a very like, I'm a lover, not a fighter. But I'm a fighter, but we're fighters in like the drive aspect of life. And I felt like that was a big thing. And we always spoke about it when we could literally see from one round to the next round. Going down because of fatigue and mindset.
Yes.
Or like they're coming, you could just see it all over their body. And I was like, right, no matter what, I'm not going to do that. And we always spoke about your like poker face, but just learning. There's many ways. I don't just think doing the physical training is you learning. There's,
it's so much. It's everything.
Watching, understanding what's going to go down. That's another thing that I remember, the difference between, I really wanted to know absolutely everything that was going to happen that night. And that I asked loads of questions, and that's why Ryan was in my corner, because he was happy, and yourself, to answer all those things. And that's what relaxed me, and I knew what was going on, and then everything was calm. I'm not worried or anxious about anything.
Yeah, you were a bit more prepared for the unknown.
Yeah, and I felt like I was totally known, even though it was my first time.
Yeah.
So asking questions is never a bad thing. And if somebody is making you feel like it is, they're probably not the right person in your corner.
100%.
Because I also had people saying, like, all you need to do, you don't need to think about any of this. All you need to do is get in the ring and fight. And I'm just I didn't even feel like I fought in the ring. I was like, what's the opposite? I wasn't fighting like to survive. I was more like performing all my training and all my skills, like performing the skills that we learn.
You're putting like everything you've learned on display, kind of.
Yes.
Rather than like someone's gonna kill me right now.
And I need to fight for my life, and it's to the death.
Yeah.
Because you hear people saying that a lot within the So I think obviously everyone's different. And it's not my career. So maybe if it is your career, you do need to fight to the death. But to have that unknown, and there was the other girl fight, she was asking questions even before she was going to go on. And her team were like, you don't need to know about that. But I'm like, but she's just asked the question, so she would like to know. And in my head, I'm like, I think I probably said, you can ask that question. And you can know the answer. What would knowing the answer do to you?
For me, like literally me personally, like and maybe different people are different the way they respond. Maybe that's why they said you don't need to know. But for me, it's like, oh, now I know I can calm down. Like I can relax.
Yeah, it's
like,
a tick. It's out my brain.
Yeah.
But maybe they think some people it will go in their brain to lose their focus. Like, why are you focusing on that?
I don't know. And that's where the right cornerman, the right coach, understanding like who you are and how you function as a person is really important. So like even you're like, do I walk out to the left? Do I walk out to the right? When I stand up there, do I do this? And like, I think sometimes we're always like, oh, I don't really know the answer, but don't worry, we're going to be there with you. Like we'll get told, you know? So it's just like.
And the one thing that I didn't know, and I can actually recollect, it kind of was a little panic, but it wasn't, was we're walking down the stairs and then they're like, you're going to go to the red corner. Where's the red corner?
Yeah.
I can't see anything, And I walk basically towards the wrong way and boom. That's the only little, but to some people that could have been really like
huge,
big, and then they're like, but I was just like, just breathe, keep singing to the music. The guy was putting the Vaseline on and I was like singing and I was just, but there was a couple of times which you spoke about. Now I understand why people punch, like, you know, like hit themselves, punch themselves, because you kind of do get caught up. Well, I was all high on life. And quite a few times, I literally had to go, Vorton, Ryan's now talking to you, Corinne.
Yeah.
I literally had to say that to myself. Ryan's talking to you. Because Ryan didn't do anything that was like Corinne. He was fine with my energy being like that. But I was like, no, stop.
Focus,
And then he would talk. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Now I can go into the ring. And then I focused. And then again, even when I sat down after my first round, I can't help it. It's the dancer in me. But when there's music on, I'm doing this and it's dumb because I'm in a fight. but it is weird. Maybe I was in a trance that whole time.
Yeah, like we do kind of get like that. And maybe that even, you might focus, but that's a calming mechanism. So that's why I think like everyone's so different.
But yeah, I noticed it and then I went, stop, look at Ryan.
Focus.
And I'm just looking at his mouth and I'm like, are you taking this in?
Yeah, that happens. It's you can prepare, but you also can't be. You know, you kind of you can prepare as much as possible, but you also have to let go of like all expectation in a sense because you just don't know, especially the first time.
Yeah.
But in answer to your question originally, just gonna
she's actually good. She remembers.
Just gonna circle back.
I also go.
I was really impressed with how you came into Fight Week. It was awesome. Like, I was like, man, can you be here for every fight week? Like,
I can. Like, I'm here now.
We'd just be skipping and you'd be like, whoa! Like,
oh yeah.
And I was like, I loved the energy and the excitement and the joy. Like, I think joy is like, I think you just exude that anyway. Like, that's a part of your, like, what's the word? Like, your makeup and who you are is like, you're so joyful.
Yeah.
And so you bring that joy and that energy to like everything.
The team, yeah.
And that was really fun and exciting. And I was just like, this is awesome. And you were just like, yep, you know, like you're just ready to go. I think maybe the couple of weeks before were a little bit harder.
Different, yeah. The week before, I was like, I'm over this. Are other people like this? I'm asking like, I'm really over this now, and I was a bit low, but I don't know if that's a normal thing or I was just fatigued or maybe my hormones were a bit off that week, but I was fully aware of it and I knew no matter what, when that week comes, the last week, I can build it up again.
But you had that hard moment. And I don't know if you remember I said, I'm like, oh, this is good that you're having this.
Yeah.
I was like,
why did you say that?
Because I think like it's such a huge roller coaster, the whole thing. Yeah, the fight, the fatigue,
to experience.
Who knows, the nerves, whether you're conscious of it or not, like your body is going through so much. Like to have this little like breakdown moment is amazing. Like it's a good, if you're having a breakdown, you're on the edge to a breakthrough. And who knows, maybe if you hadn't have had that, maybe that last week wouldn't have been as, you know, I feel like that they're the moments that you're battling, like you said, maybe hormones, there could be, there's a million factors that go into that, but that point allows you to become something on the other side. And I just think it's important to have that low, and I think it's important for people to recognize that it's okay to have that low during something like this. It's, I think Jake it's like even undulating with when you're training cycles, like you're not just going up and up and up and up and up. You have to have that taper or that like off week, the deload week, so then you can go up and up and up. Why any different with your mindset and your emotions, you know?
I did get a bit unwell, maybe like week 3, but I've seen my partner and then I think maybe I researched as well, but I think, is it quite common that fighters go through a bit of a sickness or they become unwell? But for me personally, I felt like it was exhaustion, unwellness, like sickness. Because like, I don't know how, because I thought I trained so intense already, but there was just another level. It's another level when you're like, you're like beating this unknown person all the time. And it's like a race, because I had only just started MMA sparring at least a couple of weeks before. So I was like, I need to get into, getting all the techniques. It's now or never. Time's running out. It was more that. So in terms of getting sick, I was really pushing myself that after most sessions, it was like a bit of exhaustion, headache, a little bit dizzy. And then I think it was just like, boom, hit me. Maybe I got a little something. My immune system was down.
There was like a few people
going
sick
around
during the gym. Like it's this funny time in Bali when the weather switches over to like, you know, remember it just got really hot.
Yeah.
So there's like, it's so hot right now. It's like sweat every day. It's awful.
We're trying to look cool,
collected,
but we're not.
We're kind of sweaty
under here.
But like, so I think there was a multitude of factors. But I think again, you have to look physically, mentally, emotionally, like everything just goes up. Cortisol, that word we were talking about before, like cortisol levels are rising. And like, that's why it's so important as human beings, but as athletes, that you need to be like extra onto your lifestyle and health routines, like eating well, sleeping well, looking after your mindset, like drinking enough water, like, because the moment you lack on any one of those basic foundations, something's going to get you up, because you're like pushing to this limit.
This leads on so well to another point.
Yeah, pretty much. That's on. I'm so excited.
So, and exactly what she just said, like even the most smallest thing. So we're very good at structure and habits, but my partner went to a friend's house, cool, no problem. But because he came back late, I couldn't sleep. Or maybe, you know, that it's just a different night because he's not here. I didn't sleep. Then he comes in the house. Then maybe I was sleeping, but it woke me up. And then there's obviously that time when he's going to come into bed and then you're woken up again. But definitely I didn't get enough sleep. And then the next day I had sparring, and that's when I had the little, I was really like dizzy. I really pushed because it was like the last week of sparring. But that probably I didn't eat as well because I was tired and I was like, I don't need to eat. I can just get through this one thing. But it all affected me too much. And then basically I was on the floor like, not passing out, but close to, very dizzy. And that's literally because of those small things.
Yeah.
And you got to be on top of it. And that's probably happening to everyone in their lives every day. It is hard to live the best day of your life every day, but these little structures, routines, healthy habits, they're deal breakers. And I think it shows up when you're doing such an intense thing like a fight camp, because I was literally on the floor for like a good hour trying to recover and be normal to then stand up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's just being aware of that, and it's like taking personal accountability and responsibility for yourself inside of those spaces, you know, like, and sometimes, things happen and you can't control it, but you know, in those moments, you know, like, okay, well, I haven't got enough sleep, I understand why my body isn't able to function at its usual, you know, and then you add the fact that we're women and that we have a whole menstrual cycle, and there's a whole extra, you know, there's a whole extra layer on top of that as well. So there's just so much going on that needs to be factored in to those things.
I saw a post recently on Instagram about fighters and their menstrual cycle and cutting weight and temperature, hot, cold, easier, harder to lose weight, hydration tests, all of that. And I was like, wow. So that's something I would highly recommend if you're fighting and you haven't looked into that. It's such a big thing. But probably wrapping it up soon. But one really cool thing was that technically I should have been coming on the day after. Recently my cycle's been 29 days. So literally the day after. And normally you don't feel too great before your period, right?
I definitely don't know.
Yeah. So, but again, in my head, in my body, I don't know if this is like manifestation maybe, but I was very much like, can you hold off? Like, I don't think it's going to come. It's going to hold off. My body knows what it needs to do. It's in this fight or flight. But it's so amazing because it didn't come. I felt great. And again, I think I forced that, but in a good way.
Yes.
And it has come yesterday. We're like 4 days after the fight. 5 days after the fight. But yeah, like 2 days later than normal. And I just think it's amazing, like how much, it's a bit of like brain power, but also your body helping you.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah?
Yeah. I was the same. I was a bit late.
Yeah,
as well.
intuitive.
Yeah. And that's happened to me too. I'm like supposed to bleed like the day before, like when I'm cutting weight on the day of the fight, and my body's just held off. And you could say
it's unhealthy.
It's unhealthy because, like, you know,
in
extra
that
stress and all of those things. But
Yeah.
honestly, like when I've tuned in those moments and I'm like, okay, yes, obviously you're fighting, like it's extra stress, but I know my body's taking care of me for that moment.
Yeah.
Like I know that intuitively. So
And you feel good and you're just like, thanks for like
thanks
holding
amazing
back.
body.
Yeah, and it's
like,
a one-off that it's late. And yeah. Anything else?
I just want to ask some like boom boom.
Oh
questions.
god. Yeah. So
what was the hardest thing about fight camp?
sparring. Physically, emotionally, it all was very overwhelming for me. Yeah. So having to battle that the morning of was really hard, and then doing it and then the aftermath, it just took my body. It was a shock to the system for sure. My body was struggling. Yeah.
What was the best thing about fight camp? Or the fight, you know, all of it?
I think the being part of the team. Like, yes, the team are always at Bali MMA, and yes, you might be in class with them, but it's different when it's like we're all going through this together. We're all in the sauna. We're all in the ice bath. It's great to know what they're really going through and really experience the experience with them, and the support and everyone picking each other up, checking in on each other, all of that jazz. Yeah.
It's pretty beautiful. Like it's like you go in there and it's like a single sport, so to speak, but it's not.
Yeah.
Which is cool. What was the most unexpected thing about fight camp?
About fight camp.
Or the fight.
Well, the
whole
one
experience.
The one thing is like just how calm I was and how much I enjoyed it. Never would have thought that at the beginning of fight camp. What was the question?
The most unexpected.
Oh, that was the most.
Expect.
Yeah, that was the most unexpected. By the time it got to showtime, loving life. Yeah, for sure.
What's the biggest thing you learned through this whole experience? Got it.
What was the biggest? I know myself pretty well, and it's a physical challenge, which I'm good at. So I knew I was up for the challenge. What did I learn? I learned how to fight. I learned the balance of life of having to like go all in and then sleep. Like no matter what time of the day it is, that it's not, you don't have to follow this, I have to be up all day. Like loads of cultures like sleep in the middle of the day when it's too hot and things like that.
So you learn to like switch off a little bit in the times.
Switch off when my body needs to switch off, 100%.
That's a pretty big lesson.
Okay, good.
That's huge.
Yeah, cool. Good.
That's good. Woo, we're learning.
I answered the question.
And you've taken that in. You were telling me how you've kind of done that today a little bit for yourself too. So you've like you're integrating that lesson. That's really cool. Do I have any more questions? Biggest learning, unexpected, happiest, joyful, blah. What would you say to someone who wants to give it a go? What would be your advice to like someone who is like maybe in the position where you are, whether they actually want to do it as a career or they want to just like have the, like tick this off the bucket list, like I want to have an experience.
Yeah. Well, number one, you just have to do it. Always, that's us. Take every opportunity. And the fact there's the want, you have to like fulfill all your wants in life. You only live once. Like anytime there's that itchiness, I have to go action to it and get it done. And what would I say? Just make sure that you have time to do it for yourself, with yourself, not by yourself, but like that you have the capacity to be able to give this time for yourself. Yeah. So
to the dream,
to the process. That there's enough. And that you look after yourself because you'll need to. And to not miss any classes, stick with the regime, and I think that's it. And have fun. Always have fun when you can. When you're not getting punched and kicked in the face or body or choked out.
Definitely kicked me in the face once during. Yeah, she did. It was. I was like, that was epic. At the end of the
She was like, again. She was a great partner, sparring partner, and drills partner, especially like towards the end.
Yeah.
Because I rarely hit somebody, and I need to know and see and the distance and actually just the feeling of hitting someone.
Yeah,
Kristy was always like, just punch me,
like,
just punch me.
I'm prepared, I'm ready, I'll get out of the way. Like,
and that was even before the fight camp when we was in like boxing. I was like so scared. Honestly, I was very scared, and I think that's one of the big things.
Yeah.
When you're so scared of something, you got to push that, and that's where the big growth happens.
Yes.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, it had to be done.
Yeah.
And now I can fight anyone. Come at me.
And I think
not any pros.
That's a. I think that's
people.
starting out, amateur.
Yeah.
I think that's like a really good credit to like you, and I know I'm the same. Is like being willing to face the fear, and I think that's if anything's going to get in someone's way of fighting, it's the fear of whatever the fear is, and so like to be able to go just get into action and do it is hugely beneficial because through that action you can realize like, oh, there wasn't really that much to be scared of, and look at the resiliency I built from overcoming that fear. But I think also at the same time what I like to take people through and get them to realize is to not like do that in a way where they're bypassing their fear. Like recognize, oh fuck, I'm really scared to do this, and I'm gonna move with and through the fear rather than like just gonna pretend that's not there and like just push through it anyway, so it's this integrative process. And
however you need to do that. For me, I had to be very vocal and tell people. Some people might not need to be like that.
I'm the same. I think everyone needs to kind of get it out a little bit.
I had to tell them, even if someone is like hitting me too hard, eventually you'll get to the point where they can hit you hard, which we did. But at the beginning I was like, you're freaking the hell out of me when you're punching me, and now I'm like too stiff to even move, like I'm freaking out. You got to say whatever is going to help you, like obviously at the right times, but especially when you're doing a contact sport and you're working with people. But in general, people are there to help you, and the right people
If you're in
will
the right,
understand.
if you're in the right place with the right
Yeah.
people, they are.
Maybe that'll be another YouTube
Yeah,
of people.
yeah. But
People.
the right people are important too.
And Kristy's the right person. Barley babes,
Thanks,
strong
girl.
Barley babes.
Finish? I think we're pretty good. Thanks for listening to us.
Yes.
Our epic chats. If you have any questions,
Oh yeah, definitely.
drop them in the comments below.
Yeah. Or anything we want to talk about a bit more. We definitely want to do this more regularly.
Yeah. What do you want to hear about? What do you want to know?
Mm-hmm. Subscribe. Instagram, Corinne HOLT.
Kristy Renee Obs or Kristy KO Obs, depends. But yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
follow the journey, and we're going to take you guys onwards and upwards all the way and have fun.
Yeah.
At the same time. Bye! Boom!